Hello and welcome to another Java tutorial. In this tutorial we will going to be working with creating a running total in a loop that will going to add all the array elements, and then we're going to display that total along with an average towards the end. So here we will going to introduce a couple of variables, one to hold the total and one to hold the average of all the scores. Now, since we are accepting the input right here within this loop, it is very wise to be also computing the running total right over here. Now, this could be written two ways. Either I could write it like this, which basically means as the scores get accepted, right away add it to the total. However, based on our earlier discussions in Java, I could very well be using the Java compound operator, which is if the same variable gets to repeat on both sides of equals, I could very well compound it with this operator plus equals to, which means exactly the same as the last one. So now what we will going to do next is we will going to now display this total after displaying all the scores over here. So after displaying all the scores, we will going to be displaying right over here total of all scores is. Now notice one thing, this total is actually outside of that loop because I did not put the squigglies, so only one statement is associated with that loop. This statement is not associated with that loop, and I do not want to be putting this statement in that loop because I do not want the total to be displayed with every score. Rather, I only want my total to be displayed once all the scores are displayed. The next thing I want to do is I want to be able to calculate the average. An average can be very easily calculated, which will going to be the total divided by 3, because the size of the array is 3. However, remembering the size of the array is troublesome, so it's always advisable to use what we used before, scores.length, which will also going to return 3. However, that code now becomes dynamic because if I ever were to change the size of the array, I would not have to come down here and make a specific change. Everything will going to happen automatically. And this will going to calculate the average, and now I can simply just go about displaying the average over here. That average of all scores is this. Now let me run this program, and here it is looking for some array elements: 450, 567, and 123. And here you go, you have average of all the scores. This is the sum of all the scores, and that is the average of all the scores. So this is how you can be calculating a running total, and based on those running total, you can very well be then displaying the average. Now let me run it again with different sets of numbers. Let's say I enter 7, 10, and 19, which adds to 36. Completely divisible by 3, answer comes out to 12. If I enter numbers which are not completely divisible by 3, let's say if I enter 9, 11, and 5, that totals to 25, and 25 divided by 3 is 8.3 repeating. That's why the answer goes as far as this, because of the doubles precision. And you can always be using the decimal format class and some of those other classes to format the decimals, or round it by using math.round class to the nearest whole number. Hope you would have enjoyed this tutorial as well. Catch you another one. Thank you for watching.